Today, we are going to learn how to introduce ourselves in English. Are you ready? Let's jump right in. Today, we would like to learn introduction with me, Mrs. Rina. Everybody, I'm sure each of us who are learning English usually still confused how to introduce ourselves in English. It is in this lesson we will learn how to introduce ourselves in English. The things that we learn in English language are self-introduction, English vocabulary, English expressions, English idioms. And then remember, again, I would like to say that the first thing that the student or the English learner learn in English language is self-introduction. So the lesson is important for you. How? The way to introduce ourselves in English. Today, I would like to ask you to communicate to introduce yourself by using English utterances like a native speaker, by using 3 parts. The first part is life, and the second part is hobby, while the third part is dream. Now we are come from the first part of the introduction. The first part, this is where you talk about who you are and where you are from. So the first part, it's called life, your life. So you have to talk about your life. This is where you talk about who you are and where you are from. Remember. And then the second part is, this is where you talk about your hobby and then the reason why you choose that hobby. So it is the second part is called hobby. The second part, you have to talk about your hobby clearly, and we will continue to the third part. The third part is, this is where you describe about your dreams, about the future. I'm sure everyone has a dream, and then in this part you just talk about your dream here, and in the third part is dream. I'm sure we will still confused, but how to implement into our introduction from 3 parts that we have learned before. So now it is the first part is life. Remember, the first part is life. In using the first part, we will use 3 WH questions. Who, where, and what. For who, we will talk about our name. And then where, we will talk our hometown or country originally from. And then what, we will say about our character and personality. Clear enough? We will continue. I would like to give the example how I introduce ourselves in English in this part. Part 1. Life. Remember, part 1 is life, so I would like to give the example for each WH question. The first WH question is who. We will give the name, of course, Rina, the example. And then second, where? I'm from Bogor. I'll write Bogor here. And then what? We will talk about character and personality here. So I'll write here nice and responsible person. So it is the example of my introduction in the first part. Hello, I'm Rina Agustina. You can call me Mrs. Rina because I'm married. I'm from Bogor, and you must know that I'm nice and responsible person. Are in the second part, hobby. Also, in this part we will use 3 WH questions. what, why, and when. What? So you have to talk your hobby. State your hobby. And then why? It is the information, the main reason for choosing that hobby. And then when? So we have to talk about when you usually do that hobby. Yeah, it is the example of my introduction in this part, hobby. For the second part, hobby, I will give you the example. For what? My hobby is designing an interactive English learning, as my profession as a teacher. And then, why? To make students be engaged in learning. It is the reason. This is only the example. And then the third, when? I usually do this in the beginning of the academic year. Oh, it is only an example of the hobby. Yeah. And here is the introduction for the second part, hobby. My hobby is designing an interactive English learning for my students. I think it's important to make students be engaged in learning activities, and I usually prepare it on the beginning of the academic year. This is the third part, dream. Also, in this part, we will use 3 WH questions. Okay, what are they? What, when, why? In what, we have to state what our dream is. Actually, I'm sure everyone has a dream, remember? And then you have to state here what your dream is. And then when, you still remember when we want to reach that dream? Maybe 2 years later, in 1 year, in the following year, something like that. And then why? Give a reason why you choose that dream. So, it is the example of my introduction in this part, dream. For what, we have having a nice house. I have a dream to have a nice house, everybody. And then the second, when, yeah, it's about in the following 2 years. And then why? The reason, it is the most comfortable place for our family, for my family exactly. So we will try to make it in one paragraph, all the things stated here, like this. My dream is having a nice house, and I hopefully able to get my dream in the following 2 years. A house is the most comfortable place for us to live, to stay, and to get close with our family. We've talked about how to introduce ourselves in English like a native speaker by using 3 parts: life, hobby, and dream. Let's see the introduction like with part 1, part 2, and part 3 all together. Here is my introduction. Hello, I'm Rina Agustina. You can call me Mrs. Rina because I'm married. I'm from Bogor, and you must know that I'm nice and responsible person. My hobby is designing an interactive English lesson for my students. I think it's important to make students be engaged in learning activities, and I usually prepare it on the beginning of the academic year. My dream is having a nice house, and I hope will be able to get my dream in the following 2 years. A house is the most comfortable place for us to live, to stay, and to get close with our family. Well, it is the introduction. It is the simple way to introduce ourselves in English like a native speaker. Okay. Well, today you learned the secret to speaking English, how to introduce yourself in English. I just want to remind you all to these 3 parts of introduction in English. life, hobby, dream. Remember, in each part there are 3 WH questions that you have to show up. Okay, see you later.